is a two-edged sword. And why people generally keep clear of it is that your opponent can do the same sort of things and worse back to you. Now, I don't know if the Russians did do this, and taking President Obama at face value and assume he has good evidence to substantiate his claim, then I imagine they're going to have to think very carefully about getting into some sort of tit-for-tat sort of operation with the Russians. But you never really quite know where it's going to end up. I mean, are they going to start having our financial system, electricity? I mean, you've got to be very, very careful. And that's why he's being rather cagey, I think, in choosing his words the way he can.
But he has, of course, he's out by January the 20th. Would anything that's done require the approval of the President?
Well, I would have thought that they certainly would, because the implications of it going wrong, as I said, this tit-for-tat thing could escalate, are considerable. I think it will very much, as he is claiming it was the case if the Russians did this, but it is a decision taken at a very highest level.
David Richards, thank you very much.
The time now is 24 minutes past 8. Facebook says it's going to get to grip with fake news. The company's been accused of not doing enough to tackle bogus stories. Now, the National Report is one website which specialises in fake news, even though it describes itself as America's #1 news source. Its publisher uses the name, not his real name, of Alan Montgomery. He's been speaking to BBC Trending about the financial motive behind supplying fake news.
To be honest with you, beyond the headline and the first couple paragraphs of a story, people totally stop reading. So, as long as the first 2 or 3 paragraphs sound like legitimate news, then, you can do whatever you want at the end of the story and kind of make it ridiculous. We've had stories that have made $10,000. And we're talking about a couple million page views. A lot of the stories are just kind of filler on the sites, but when we kind of really tap into something and get it to go big, then we're talking about in the thousands of dollars that are made per story.
$1,000 per story. You can do what you like. Well, listening to that with me, Amal Rajan, our new BBC media editor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's just get a sense of scale, because there'll be plenty of listeners to this program maybe don't use Facebook at all, or only to see the odd family photo. How much fake news is
In fairness to Facebook, there isn't actually a great deal. So hundreds of millions of things, hundreds of millions of items, pictures, articles are shared on Facebook every single day across the 1.8 billion people on the planet who have a Facebook account, the 1.8 billion users. And actually Facebook would argue quite legitimately that fake news is a fraction of a percentage. So it's a very, very small amount. It's also nothing new. They've known about misinformation or disinformation for a very long time. But of course, there are a couple of very high profile cases during the election of Donald Trump, claiming that the Pope had backed him, which was shared by millions of people, claiming that Denzel Washington had backed Donald Trump, went completely viral, and so it's got a sort of higher profile now than it has for a long time.
So what are the company now saying they will do that they haven't been doing up to?
Well, say you get an interesting article on Facebook which shocks you, such as shares an article saying Nick Robinson's a Chelsea supporter, and that would be shocking. That would be shocking. You're taken aback by this. Facebook's going to give you a bunch of options. There's going to be a red button where you can say I don't like this very much, and if you click on that red button and say maybe this shouldn't be on Facebook, you'll have the option of sending a message to a friend of yours to say I'm not sure this is on Facebook. This should be on Facebook. If enough people flag an article, then it will go down the ranking, so it will be lower in people's newsfeed. But the really interesting thing that's been announced yesterday by Facebook, I think, is that they are now going to employ a body or 4 bodies of external fact checkers. So if enough people are flagging articles and saying, you know what, this looks a bit dodgy, maybe Nick Robinson's not a Chelsea supporter, or Denzel Washington didn't back Trump, they're going to employ independent fact checkers. And this is an incredibly important development, because Facebook are very determined not to be seen as a media company or journalists. They sound like they're doing the sort of thing that we journalists do.
Just explain that. In other words, they've always wanted to say, we are a tech company, we are not publishers, we don't therefore have to have responsibility for anything that really appears on our site.
Absolutely right, because it's in August in Rome, in fact, funny enough, when he was meeting with Pope, Mark Zuckerberg said, we are not a media company, we are a tech company. 2 reasons for saying that. One is investors much prefer to invest in tech companies and media companies, and the second thing is that media companies come with certain social, moral, legal obligations, and Zuckerberg doesn't want to go there. He's always said we don't want to be up to the truth, but he is now.
Very briefly, Wood, some human influence now will not just be the computer and the algorithm.
This was the week that Facebook said it accepted it does need to exercise human editorial judgment, even if not its own, to work out what's right and what's wrong.
Thanks very much indeed.
It's 28 minutes past 8. Time for some sports news, and Gary Richardson's back. Hi, Gary.
Morning. Let's get the latest from the final test. England against India. Henry Moran is watching. What's the position now, Henry?
England up 170 for 3. Moeen Ali unbeaten on 61. The day started with Keaton Jennings scoring just 1, Alistair Cook only 10, and at 21 for 2 it did seem rather like we could be seeing another bleak morning for the tourists. But 146 runs put on by Ali and Joe Root before Root was dismissed on review for 88 have rather brightened the picture for England here at a sweltering Chennai. The score 170 for 3 with Moeen Ali on 61 and Johnny Bairstow yet to get off the mark.
Thank you. European Cup rugby results. Bath beat Cardiff 38-3 and Edinburgh lost 26-20 to Stade Francais. Now we're at the time of year when I have to remind you that the racing tips are for life, not just for Christmas. We're about to tell you how the selections have got on during the past 12 months. We give, of course, 2 tips every morning. Sometimes guests contribute. Joanna Lumley did that earlier this year. So with the Strictly Come Dancing final tomorrow, here now the Today programme, Strictly the Tips, and some of our highlights in the past 12 months.
From Tolbar down towards the Festival Island.
We're down to the final 2. Veteran sports broadcaster Rob Bonnet and even more veteran sports broadcaster Gary Richardson. Whoa, steady on those stairs, Gary. It's been a hotly contested year. 2 more winners yesterday, and it's all down to Rob Bonnet.
It's been a 14-1 winner. How disappointing, I suppose, is that Gary tipped it on me.
Dancing to the music of Bobby Down, Gary Richardson.
Don't tell me not to fly, I've simply got to.
Selections are down the course where the first one's in. Anyway, it's a race somewhere at Flyden Park. That's very true. After a week of running rather slowly, the horses are back to winning the race. 2 winners yesterday. Today, Sedgefield 7:30, number 7, Hugh Coitle.
That's the 3rd pronunciation we've done this week. One of them's got it right.
What do you care?
Not at all, really.
I'm thinking of turning amateur. We had another winner yesterday.
Oh gosh, what a surprise. You look positively embarrassed to say that, Gary. Don't worry about it. You will have them occasionally. It's bound to happen.
We tipped a horse yesterday called Our Boy John.
We did.
And he got back so late to the yard he had to tiptoe in so as not to wake up the other horses.
Thank you, man. Whether I need to use that.
Let's go to the judges. Craig Revel Hall.
Fred said, passionless, a complete disaster.
Darcy Bustle.
It's good to take risks, and you too.
Len Goodman.
For me, you're a bit of a one-trick pony.
Bruno Tognoli.
It all went terribly, terribly wrong.
And John Humphreys. Oh dear. Now dancing with his partner Joanna Lumley, Rob Bonnet.
The minute you are in the joint,
And Rob Bonnet's over the sport.
you are a man of distinction, a real big spender,
Unbelievable.
good looking, so refined.
It's thrilling to watch.
Let's hope so.
So let me get right to the point.
I'm often asked, where do the racing tips come from? This morning I have a very healthy day.
Rob, well, I'm going to kick off with, this is my hunch. Worcester, the 450, number 10. I'm going for number 10, Sporting Milan.
Any particular reason for that?
Yes, it runs away like a mad thing. It's got 4 legs. It's divine to look at.
Most of them do have.
I love the racing colours.
Although not necessarily the racing tip of the Today programme, sometimes me, sometimes even too. We do appreciate your expertise.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Thank you so
You've got very beautiful green eyes.
My goodness
I'm moving to this job all the time.
It's going to be insufferable forevermore. Do you realise what you've done to the programme?
Let's go to the judges. Bruno Tognoli.
You're spicier and hotter than a Scotch bonnet.
Len Goodman.
In 1 mile,
It was very
keep left onto junction 3 to M1
I found
north.
the open shirt a slight distraction.
And John Humphreys. Oh dear. But will they be in profit for the year? And who will have earned more? Let's find out. There we are, my thanks to Tim Peach.